Today, I'm going to show you what causes old cars to rust and how you can stop it. The first thing to get out of the way is the myth that some old cars don't rust. Unless it lives in a shed its entire life and it's not exposed to water, it's going to rust in one way or another, whether you can see it or not. So this whole rust-free 50-year-old car, it doesn't exist. Every car has surface rust, at least a little bit. So let's get that out of the way. And this is why. So on these old cars, when the water runs anywhere on them, inherently it's going to get past the seals, even if the seal's in great condition and brand new. And so what ends up happening is the water run, for example, on the side here, the water will run down the glass and then it runs past the seal here, which there is a seal there, but it'll run past the seal and inside the door or inside the rear quarter. And then it runs down into the bottom of the door. And it's not painted in there. They don't paint them in there. And that's what happens. The water will sit there, it'll build up, you'll get a little bit of dirt, a bit of grime. Combine that with water, leaves, it rusts. That's what happens. Same in the back here, in the rear quarters, water will get in, it'll run down, it'll sit in the lower sections and it'll just rust from the inside out. Now, the manufacturers knew this and they put provisions in certain spots, like in the bottom of doors. There's always drain holes for when water builds up in there, it drains out. But still, you're going to get spots, like I said, you get a bit of dirt or grime in the corners. Down here, it's going to sit with water, it's going to turn into a mush, and it's going to rust from the inside out. And that's why when you see old cars that are old and they haven't been restored, this one's just been painted, and I'm in the process of putting it back together, so this is a timely video. That's why you'll all see them. They'll be bubbling down the bottom of the doors, they'll be bubbling at the bottom of the quarters, they'll be bubbling at the bottom of the rear quarters, the back of the front guards. Because what happens down here, the wheel's turning, it flings water up with road grime and debris, and it gets caught sitting down there. And that's all it does. It finds a thin piece of sheet metal somewhere where it can sit, and it'll build up and it'll just sit there and rust from the inside out. So, how do you prevent it? In a scenario like this, where this car was really rusty, and I've since fixed all the rust, and I'm in the process of putting it back together, so the last thing I want to do is to have to come back in another 5 or 10 years time and do it all again. So I'm going to go through now what I do to prevent it from rusting again. So step one is to get into all of the spots with a shop vac and just suck up all of the debris that's in there, leaves, dirt, whatever, and get it out of there. Now, you're not going to be able to get everything out of there because there are so many little ledges and landings and crevices where stuff can sit, leaves and dirt and dust. So next, grab your compressed air and just blow it out. Now, after you've given it a vacuum and a good blowout, what you want to do next is to have a look. I've got the torch going here, in there, and just make sure that the drains are open. Now, I'll put the light underneath so you can see clearly. There. So that drain is the one at the front, and you can see that it's nice and clear and open. And then there's a drain here at the back. You can see that also is nice and clear and open. So that's going to give us the best chance of water, any water that goes in there and gets past the seals, of draining out those holes. So now that the door's clean and dry inside, we'll get on to the next step. So there's a couple of different ways you can go about this. Some people use a paint-based product. I like to use this fish oil based product. This is available from any hardware store here in Australia. I got it from the local hardware. It's not expensive. And then this is the same product, but in a liquid form. This is the aerosol form. So I use the liquid form with a paintbrush to do all the easily accessible bits, and I really like to get it in there and give it a good soaking. And then this aerosol one, for the corners, for the bits that you can't get to easily, I like to get in there and just drink this, as much of this in there as I can. So nothing overcomplicated. Plenty on your brush. And get in there. And the main focus, you want it to be on all the lowest and the flat areas. There's no real, I mean, you can go up, you can put it in as many places as you like on the inside, but you know, there's no reason to go and to coat up here, for example, because water's always going to flow down, and it's not going to. Well, this car's got, there's a sound deadener product on there, so it's not going to penetrate through that. Next, I'll get the aerosol can. I've already given this a good shake. And then I'll get right in there. And that's it. That's how I go about protecting the older cars from rust. If the car's already rusting, it's too late for this. You need to stop the rust with a rust neutralizer, then treat the area. If it's bad, you'll have to cut it out and weld new metal in. If it's not too bad, you might be able to stop it and before it becomes a thing. But this is what I do.